Josh Lowe's potential absence could open up the door for many rookies to step up.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Rays podcast. The Locked On Rays is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and we are Kevin and Ulysses.
And we are lifelong Rays fans who've been podcasting about the Tampa Bay Rays since 2019.
On today's show, we'll discuss why the Rays wildcard chase remains more fantasy than reality. In a few minutes, we'll dive into why Hassan Kim looks like the most likely piece to stick around for 2026. But we'll begin with the ripple effects on if Josh Lowe misses extended time and what that could mean for several rookie outfielders.
But first, we got to tell you that this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now. Yeah, Kevin. So a lot to discuss regarding Josh Lowe.
Yes.
No official word yet on whether he will be needing an IL stint as of this recording, but I feel it to be an opportunity for guys like Pereira, Simpson, Mangum, and even Morel to get more of a stable playing time if Josh misses absolutely any time on the IL.
And I was thinking about this. So Josh has a couple days to recover. He played one of the games against San Francisco. Didn't look too hot. If I recall, he went 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts. And the couple times he made contact, they were weak rounders to the right side. So again, it's small sample size, one game. But based on that, you could tell that something was a little bit off with Mr. Josh Lowe. And as we'll talk about later on in the episode, the wild card, the playoffs, it's a pie in the sky scenario. So this could be a prime opportunity to see what the rookies and other players on your roster can do if Josh Lowe has to miss extended period of time. And honestly, I wouldn't even be that upset if the Rays want to do, I don't know if we want to call it a phantom IL stint or just a, hey, reset, get yourself right in AAA, because he has struggled mightily since the All-Star break in August. I mean, his season is just going downhill left and right. And he's got this weird injury history with that oblique. It just seems to be a nagging issue for him. And it's why he's missed so much time over the last couple of years.
And it's the same one. It's the right oblique strain. And last year, it took him out for around 7 weeks. Opening day IL stint, we all remember that. He goes with the right oblique, and now it's that same right oblique strain. So it's a repetitive injury, which kind of makes you a little bit worried that this is a thing. And this is, I think it's very black and white here to say the right oblique is an issue with Josh Lowe. Yes. So I think it's also not too far away from the truth saying, well, maybe that's what's been hampering now for 2 years. I mean, the 2023 season was an amazing campaign for him. I mean, he looked like a guy that had all the 5 tools and could really dominate the playing field at any time, be the best player on the field. Not a lot of guys can be at any point the best player on the field. He had that in 2023. Goes down in 2024 with the injuries. Production goes down the toilet. 2025, apparently been struggling with this. He missed some time in the beginning, and now it's the same issue. It's a shame for Josh Lowe to be missing so much time and his production being possibly affected by this injury. But the silver lining is I do want to see what Everson Pereira can do in the outfield. And for him specifically, I think the Rays kind of showed their hand to Rays Nation on Saturday and Sunday when their idea for center field is Everson Pereira. Yeah. And it wasn't Morel in the corners. It was Simpson and, hey, Mangum on in right field. Mangum did a tremendous catch on Saturday's game that kept the team still involved in the game. But
he had to play in the outfield over his head, back shoulder, I guess, falling down. And that was a triple or maybe an inside the park home run waiting to happen, depending on who's running the bases.
It's that type of ballpark, right? We've seen that ballpark do a lot of funky things with their walls.
Yes.
So I think the Rays kind of showed their hand, saying, okay, if we do miss Josh, this is what we're thinking. We're thinking Everson Pereira in center field with Mangum in left, with Simpson in left and Mangum in right. Which honestly, I really like that because I want to see what Pereira does as a rookie with extended time with 37 games left. Like you're saying, it's too far removed from reality to think, hey, this team, we can't do that because we got to go to the playoffs. Like, nah, but it's like that meme from the football coach, like playoffs? That guy.
Yes. Yeah, it's funny because, well, over the weekend, I think we saw at least one, if not multiple times, 5 rookies were in the lineup and or starting. So that just goes to show you what the Rays are looking to do right now and possibly the rest of the season. And I don't really have a big problem with it. Again, I want to see Pereira is the one I probably want to see the most if he can hack it, if he can handle it.
Yeah.
And obviously, I would not be surprised if he goes through some ups and downs, goes through some struggles, makes some bad looking swings, has a bad play in the outfield, but it's all part of the learning, growing, and maturing process, just like we've seen and experienced with Chandler Simpson. And I'll say this for Josh Lowe, say he doesn't go on the IL and say he stays in the lineup, that's fine. Okay, I can live with that, but you're not, I don't think you're going to get that much offensive production if this oblique keeps nagging him or if he's thinking about it as well. I mean, the oblique is almost everything with the swing as far as power, core, rotation, balance. It impacts everything. So I know that we made a prediction a week or two ago about who would finish the season with more home runs, Chris Morel or Josh Lowe. Well, even if Josh Lowe plays every game the rest of the season, I'm still going with Chris Morel just based on this news we have with Josh Lowe's oblique. In fact, I think that since the All-Star break, Josh Lowe has just 1 home run. His 6 home runs were before the All-Star break.
It's been really dreadful since the All-Star break. And, a lot of guys have gone down since the All-Star break.
Yeah.
You understand not only the team record, but, you miss a guy like Jonathan Aranda, who was being the most stable producer in the lineup. And then it goes off the way. With Josh Lowe now, at least we have that silver lining. It's okay. Let's see. Can we get mistakes out of Simpson in left field? Can we utilize Mangum's very good defensive skills in the corners? And then what do we have in Pereira in center field? This does open up a situation where you can actually try guys. And I'm with you. Even if it doesn't require an IL stint, I know Josh Lowe is going to be a part of the future. They're not going to give up on Josh Lowe. I don't think they are. So I know he's going to be playing next year. So I right now would be more intrigued about what Everson Pereira can do, Mangum can do, and Simpson can do in the next 37 games than seeing what Josh Lowe can do. I know what Josh Lowe can do if he's healthy. We know that. With the other 3, I would like to give them a chance to marinate and season with the club and see if they can actually get those mistakes out right now.
And it's a shame with Josh Lowe because you look at him, he's young, he's athletic, he's got the perfect build to be a baseball player, but there's just this nagging issue that he's dealing with. And maybe that's something that the Rays have to take into account in the offseason and next season is, do we see him as an everyday player or do we need to give him a rest, once or twice a week and really think about, are we going to play him against a lefty or are we going to give him some opportunities at DH? You'd hate to, waste the DH spot on a guy like that, but they might have to course correct and figure out what they're going to do with him if they want to be able to keep him on the field and try to turn him back into a 2020 player. I mean, his numbers back in 2023. I mean, it wasn't just the 2020 and all that, but like every metric was solid across the board, more or less.
Yeah, so it was a guy that you could see being a core part of your team moving forward for the next 4 or 5 years, where he's a stable contributor. And unfortunately, this right oblique strain has not allowed him to do so. But guess what? If we're talking about the outfield getting some new faces, well, the infield will also be getting a new familiar name at shortstop with Kim getting steady play right now. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. Yes, people, that time has come where pigskin is all over the place and no one is happier than Mr. Kevin Weiss. And he's happy because now he can go on Prize Picks and maybe put a little bit of green Skittles on his Indianapolis Colts or on his Tampa Bay Bucks. Yes, he's got two teams, and that's okay. We can live with that, Kev. So why not? You can do that. By the way, you can use that flex play option, which is a total game changer, Kevin. I don't know if you know about that, but I would definitely do that. And you can download the Price Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. I'll repeat that. Download the Price Picks app. Use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Price Picks. Run your game.
Thank you for making the Locked On Rays podcast your first listen today. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Ulises, as you teased and mentioned, one guy that we know is likely to stick around with the Rays in 2026 is Hassan Kim. If you aren't familiar out there, he does have a player option in 2026. And based on the fact that he's been injured, hurt, and not as productive as we wanted, he's probably going to be like, yeah, I want my money and I'm going to take my money. Now, having said that, the Rays could theoretically try to negotiate a trade or a swap, but I don't know how much, if anything, that they would get in return. But let me say this. With Hassan Kim, I am perfectly fine with him being a Ray in 2026 because I think there is more to the Kim story in a Rays uniform. I want to see what he can do in 140 plus games. I want to see him give us a dozen home runs. I want to see him get 20 stolen bases. I want to see him play Gold Glove level defense in the middle infield. I want to see him draw a ton of walks, not strike out that much, and just be a net benefit and give us 3 to 4 WAR as a player, which is very well within possible, assuming he can stay on the field. And this is really a key barometer for him because with the news last week that Taylor Walls is out with a groin injury, Kim is able to go back to his most natural position of shortstop. So the idea, just like with some of the other young players that we've talked about, let it ride. Give this guy opportunities, see what he can do, and hopefully he can build up some momentum for the rest of this year, go into spring training, and have a standout 2026 campaign.
And you have to look at the position in context because, first of all, it's a player option. So the Rays, basically, the only way out is, like you're saying, a trade. So this is all on Kim saying yes. If you're a guy who just came back from an extended surgery rehab that was longer than anticipated, because let's not forget the timeline was he'll be back in mid-May, he'll be back in late May, he'll be back in early June, mid-June, late June, finally made it in July 4th weekend. So a lot of setbacks. I know there was two different rehab stints in AAA that had to be extended. So if you're Kim, like, just make sure that, okay, we get into the head of him. How are you thinking with a 630 OPS in 84 plate appearances so far? It's going to be very difficult for you to just say no to $16 million. Right. So that's one part of the equation. The other part of the equation is how the team feels about it. And I feel like the team is with us here with saying, I don't care what happened in 2025. I care, but I don't care enough to completely switch this out. Because what's the context of the position? Taylor Walls, yes, you have him signed for next year because he did do a 2-year extension. But we know what he can provide offensively. Has this been a surprise year offensively for Taylor Walls? Yes, it has. But I wouldn't count on that offensive production for next year. I personally wouldn't. I think that we have enough data to suggest that this one is the peak and it's not the normal. So if you know that, and you know what the normal has been for Kim when he's healthy, it's a really easy formula of let's see what he's got for 2026 and see if he can give us 140 games, 150 games, because down in AAA, Carson Williams looks like the new shiny toy and hopefully the guy that's going to be a core part of this team.
Right.
But right now you see the flaws in AAA with the swing and miss stuff and sometimes with the long droughts offensively, that you think if that's what's happening in AAA, shouldn't he have some more time to acclimate before we do that big jump to MLB, where if you're lost somehow in AAA for an extended period of time, how are you going to expect somebody to acclimate even better at MLB?
Right. Yeah. And again, just selfishly speaking, I want to see what Kim can do for a full season in a Rays uniform. And yes, it's $16 million, which is eye-popping for the Rays organization, but it's not like they have a lot of money spread around. They can make it work with him. And you made a great point about Carson Williams, because the idea, I think, coming into the season, well, hey, Kim gets healthy by May, he comes back, does what he does, and then by August-ish, Carson Williams will be knocking at the door and he'll get called up. Maybe Kim, declines the team option, goes to free agency, see what he can get on the open market. But all the factors have basically changed because Kim's been hurt for the majority of the season. And Carson Williams is having, for all intents and purposes, a down year. AAA, a 210 batting average with 149 strikeouts and 52 walks and 434 plate appearances. That doesn't signal to me that he's major league ready. He needs more time to marinate and figure things out. And for that matter, he's not the only top-notch Rays prospect that has had a go of it.
No.
Braden Taylor's been struggling. Xavier Isaac's been struggling. Trey Morgan hasn't lived up to expectations. I mean, those guys not doing what we thought they would do has synced the Rays farm system rankings exponentially. It's kind of crazy in that respect. Now, I will say, for what it's worth, maybe Kim is really bullish on himself and he looks at the 2026 shortstop free agent class and says, well, really my only competition is Bo Bichette. After Bo Bichette, I could theoretically be the next best shortstop on the market, but I still don't.
I don't see it happening.
I don't think it's enough to merit, especially that he had to kind of settle for this deal with the Rays when he was expected to get a $70 to $80 million deal in the offseason.
If that's the deal that you got, yes, exactly. So this is a worse year than last year. So how are you going to be expecting? Maybe he wants more security in terms of years, 2 or 3 years, maybe.
But you're not going to get that.
You're not going to get that because based on what you've done in 2025. So I think it's very safe to assume that Kim is most likely to stay in the 2026 season. So your plans are with Kim. Now, have we been disappointed about him not being on the field and the production when he's on the field? Yes, he's been underwhelming.
But we've seen some flashes. We've seen flashes. I think
why not? Why not see what he's got? He's shown for multiple years in San Diego that he is a 3 to 4 WAR guy who, by the way, just when you're talking about offensive, he keeps the line moving. I know it's a very boomer thing to say in 2025, keeps the line moving, but guess what? We're taking it back, people. He keeps the lineup moving. It's just he's fast. He has good play discipline. He can put the ball in play. He's not going to strike out 30% of the time. He keeps things moving. And in a lineup that might not have Yandy Diaz next year, right, where you're having a lot of rookies turn sophomores. We know about sophomore slumps. Mm-hmm. It'll be a great idea to have a guy like Kim be a stability factor that you're not going to find up and down that Rays lineup in 2026.
No, I'm with you. And, I would just basically throw his numbers out in the trash this year because coming back from injury and everything that he's dealt with, it's a wash. Consider it a sunk cost. Start from zero in 2026 because even though this year's been underwhelming, if you look at the numbers across the board, first of all, it is a small sample size, so we have to take that for what it is. But he is a consistent player in the sense of, you can get 12 to 15 home runs. You can get 25 stolen bases. You can get a 700 plus OPS. You can get a 330 to 350 on base percentage. And if you're going to have 5 rookies in the lineup, you better have a couple veterans in there that, like you said, can move the line along and keep things going a little bit.
And he's shown that he can do that multiple years. So I think, I know Rays fandom is definitely turning because they're seeing the big money spent, the lack of production, and the lack of playing time because of his injury. And Rays fandom is not going to like that. I don't think any baseball team's fandom would like that. But in the big context of what that position is, I feel like it is safe to assume that Kim will be in 2026, and I think the Rays will be better for it.
And anything, I mean, you need to give the Rays some credit for, footing this money in the first place, because they
getting
don't do
that guy.
They never.
It was a surprise. It was definitely a surprise when the Rays got him, and that takes guts to say, "Hey, I'm going to put you on $60 million of a player option," and that we've never done that with position players before.
Even the best front office in baseball can't bat 1,000. And you got to take some risk every once in a while. And I think this is a risk that could end up working out next year.
And I think it should be in Rays fandoms to say, hey, if we gave Christopher Morel an opportunity in 2025 after the 2024 year that he had, I think it's completely okay to see Kim in 2026 after what we see in 2025. And I'll say this more. It's injury related. So I feel like it's easier to turn that page. Correct. Rather than if it had just been lack of production. If it's lack of production, it'd be tough to swallow. But at least you know that there was an injury involved and that he could get better.
Well, the Rays did have a successful road trip against the San Francisco Giants, but that doesn't mean that the playoff outlook changed. Well, August 26th, it's officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. Maybe you want to go ahead and crown the Philadelphia Eagles as the champion in August. Well, you can do that with FanDuel. So go ahead and visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game.
Thank you for listening to Locked On Rays, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Kevin, it must be football season because I see a lot of Rays fans acting like baseball is football, and they just see a couple of series wins and they go, well, we're back, baby. We're back. And here I am having to be the logical one in the room, and I don't like to be that guy all the time, but I guess I'm going to have to be because, guys, you go 6-6 in this West Coast trip. That was an odyssey. It was ridiculous. You go to Anaheim, then you go to Seattle, then you go to Sacramento, and then you finish in San Francisco. It was very long. It was exhausting for the players. And you came out with 6 wins and 6 losses. You go 500. I think in the big picture, hey, that is a successful road trip. That is great. Good job done. The issue that I have with this narrative is that people are saying, okay, they can do it. Look how good they're playing. They're playing better now. They can go on a run now. And I just want us to understand the math. 37 games left. You've got 61 wins. I mean, you need 25, 26 wins, and you can only lose 11 or 12 to get that wild card spot. So it's, again, very slim margin of error, if none. You just got to keep winning. So that's on one side. And the other part of the argument is like, okay, I don't care about the numbers. They're playing well. I've seen them in this West Coast road trip. They're doing great. Okay, well, let's slow down. Who did they play? They played the Angels, a team below 500. They played the Athletics, a team below 500. And they played the Giants, a team below 500. Did they win all those series? Good. Yes. Okay. So that is good news.
Mm-hmm.
The one team they faced that's a playoff contender slaughtered the Rays.
Yeah.
They swept them. I mean, the Mariners did whatever they wanted with Rays pitching, with Rays bats, with Rays defense. They didn't care. They just won outright. And if you are analytical or if you are traditional, if it was the eye test or if it was savant, you were looking at two different types of level of baseball. And a series is not everything, but it's not a series. Look at the records. Seattle is at 68 and 56. They're a different team. They're a better team. So when you face better competition, you didn't have a chance.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're going to face good competition like that, you at least got to win a game or split series every now and again. You can't just rely on, all right, we'll win series against the worst teams and get swept by good teams, because it just isn't going to work out for you. That's how you wind up being a 500 team, basically. And, for the Rays' credit, I will say they did what we asked. They went into San Francisco and took 2 of 3 against a team that was on a 6-game losing streak, 7-game losing streak. They had been losing games left and right, having a terrible August and really a terrible season based on the projections and what they were supposed to do and adding Rafael Devers and all that. But again, a win is a win, but they needed every bit of themselves to win those first 2 games in San Francisco. 7-6 win, 2-1 win, and then you close it out on Sunday with a 7-1 drubbing. That to me doesn't seem like, a team that is destined for a whole lot. But all you can do is play the games that are on your schedule. Luckily, I mean, it would be a travesty if the Rays didn't have an off day on Monday after that road trip. I mean, that would be totally insane. So luckily they have that before the 2-game set against the Yankees. But here's the thing. The Yankees could very much be like the Mariners and at Steinbrenner Field just totally punch the Rays in the mouth. Because what did the Yankees do this past weekend? Well, they just swept the St. Louis Cardinals on the road. So I think that we could be in for a little bit of a rude awakening and brought back down to earth based on what happens on Tuesday and Wednesday against the Yankees.
I don't disagree, but I feel like how many more wake-up calls does Rays Nation need to put the gloves down?
They need it when it's mathematically impossible.
That's
for
when
this team to make the playoffs, because right now the playoff odds are a budding 3.7% according to Fangraphs. Last week it was like 2.2%. So it's going up. So if you keep again, I think it's when you are absolutely totally eliminated, a la the Baltimore Orioles, then people can say, all right, who's playing on Saturdays and Sundays?
I think, I mean, I just don't agree with, I think we can be fans and still be logical. And I just, when I see stuff like, oh, they can go on a run. Yeah, they can go on a run. Anybody can go on a run. But what kind of details or observations have made you believe that they can go on a run? I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it since the All-Star break, to be quite frank. And I mean, you come out against Cincinnati and teams like the White Sox and you underperform. Do we remember that? I do. And so it was a successful road trip. They went 6-6. Fantastic. That did not change in any shape, way, or form their playoff outlook.
And again, it would be different if you had a Jonathan Aranda in the lineup versus a Bob Seymour. So the pieces have changed, and we have to look at the roster in totality and say, looking at it today, is this a playoff team? And it's not right now. So really what we have to, again, we're going to stay for the ride and enjoy it. And hopefully the Rays can give us a little bit more hope. Anything can happen, 25-12 plus some help. crazier things in the sports world have been accomplished. But at some point, we'll need to turn our attention to rooting for statistics and individual performances, seeing what Brandon
I'm
Lau
there,
can do the
man.
rest of the season, seeing what Junior Caminero can do the rest of the season, seeing what Yandy Diaz can do the rest of the season, seeing if Chandler Simpson can get to 40 stolen bags, all that stuff.
Give me a healthy Yandy and Bila for the rest of the season. Give me learning in the outfield for Simpson. Give me whatever you can get out of Everson Pereira. Those are the things I think Rays Nation should be focused on. But yeah, the wild card chase, it remains an illogical path for now.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see what happens this week. The Rays, I wouldn't say they can control their own destiny, but they need to start winning games like crazy pretty soon. All right. Thank you for listening to the Locked On Rays podcast and making us your first listen every day. For your next listen, check out the Locked On MLB Game Night show. Every game, every night on the Locked On MLB YouTube channel and wherever you find your podcast.